you ever had a desire to be an artist or a creative person and you've wondered, is it possible even to be an artist? What kind of things could I do in the world if I'm an artist? And perhaps you look around and you see there are actually some things that bother me. If I could only earn enough, maybe I would do X, Y, Z. Have you come across any ideas of what you might do if you were earning better? There is a concept of a socialpreneur, and a socialpreneur notices things that are going on in the world and comes up with ideas of all sorts of wonderful programs and projects and innovative ideas to help to make this world a better place. That idea has intrigued me ever since I learned about it. I was starting to do some research towards improving my website, and I was starting to think about certain changes I wanted to make in my work. And some of them puzzled me. I had been starting to develop a thrift store, a special kind of a thrift store, in order to help to fund helping orphans at the time that they marry. And no, they're not getting married as 6-year-olds. They are orphans who'd lost one or both parents, and as a result were needing assistance with starting their new home. We did actually help some other orphans at different phases of their life, different ages, different stages, different needs that they had. And there were quite a lot of benefits that were starting to happen, potential that was happening with this thrift store. But unfortunately, we had to close it and find a new direction, and I found a new direction. But in order to make that really happen, I'm needing to do some more research, some more learning of the whole concept of what it is to be a socialpreneur. And so I was in touch with somebody, a new contact on LinkedIn actually, and I was intrigued about what this person does. And through our conversation, he very kindly gave me the recommendation of about 6 books to read. I think it's about six or 8 books to read. And that's wonderful, because I've been struggling to find the right books to read. When I looked on Amazon, I was a little bit frustrated that there is a socialpreneur and there's an artpreneur, somebody who's an artist who's wanting to do some good with their art, either to have a collection that has a percentage go to fund a cause. I'm interested to see what else could be done. And I looked through the list of the books that he sent me, and the last one is the first one I'm going to have to read, because it's called Real Artists Don't Starve. And that's just the most intriguing, fascinating, and phenomenal title, because there's this concept that if you're going to be an artist, you're going to have to starve, because isn't that what artists do? They create pretty pictures and then they just sit at home with their, perhaps surrounded by their art, and that's it. They don't have a way to support themselves. Well, I've done the responsible thing, and I did get a profession, and it didn't really get me to be independent. So what is this idea of an artist who doesn't starve? What does it mean to be a real artist? So I'm really intrigued to read that book. I did start to listen to a summary of that book and a summary of 2 other books on the list. And the first takeaway was that I thought, we're now in the 3 weeks. We're coming towards the end of the 3 weeks. It's Zion Av today, to be exact. And so I was interested to learn the Torah's perspective of, if you're wanting to make a major change in the world, if you're wanting to do good in the world, if you're wanting things to be different, what is our goal? And for that, I mean, what does it mean to be living in the times of Mashiach? What will Geulah mean? What will this redemption really mean? I mean, we hear about stories of the lion lying next to the lamb, and there are photographs that have come up and stories and videos that have been coming in to the public eye more and more, of a dog with an elephant and a goose with I don't remember what animal it partnered with, and all sorts of friends that are starting to happen with different kinds of animals that one usually would not consider being together. But they are. And does that mean that we're now in the time of redemption? There is an opinion that we're living in the footsteps of Geulah, the footsteps of Mashiach. And so I thought before I start reading those other books, I would start reading the writings of the 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe. And the reason for choosing him is because he's written the most on this topic. He does refer us to learn a certain section from the Rambam, from Maimonides, which I hope to go and learn as well. And actually, speaking of that, there's a whole series one has to learn of Maimonides as to how to live in this world, because living in the times of Mashiach doesn't mean we stop doing mitzvahs, and so you need to know how to do the mitzvahs, which means learning halacha, and that means learning Rambam. So I have goals, and I have some books. This is the first book that I'm planning to read. I've already started it. It's Sound the Great Shofar. It's not the first time that I'm reading this book. I have read it before, but in the first few pages that I've read so far, I think I'm about a quarter of the way, or a fifth of the way perhaps, into reading the book. I'm already discovering that there's certain sections I need to reread. But my goal is, as I read a book, to do a short summary or review or a takeaway or what I've learned from it, and then to read those other books on the Socialpreneur and see what I can do to bring them together. I haven't yet decided whether to learn and read one of these books from the Lubavitcher Rebbe on the times of redemption, or whether to learn one of those and then one of the others, like Real Artists Don't Starve, or whether to finish the books of what it's like to have redemption and then come back to the other books. Maybe you'll let me know if you have a preference as to the order. Please be patient with me because I am a slow reader and I have a lot on the go, so it'll take a little bit of time before I get to do a review. But this is the first book, so it's going to be a series of what we can do to learn the whole concept of being a socialpreneur, an artist who's wanting to make a difference. Maybe I'll inspire you to also want to make a difference. And with this, before we end the video, I have a question for you. Do you have any thoughts as to what life might be like with redemption? What does redemption mean for you in your life particularly? Have you ever spent some time thinking about your life is going in a certain path, a certain direction right now? Perhaps you have certain challenges, as we all do. It could be financial, it could be relationship, it could be wanting to achieve a goal and you don't know how to do it. What are your difficulties and challenges, and what would redemption mean for you? So that's my question to you. That's my challenge for you, is perhaps spend a few minutes thinking each day about what would redemption mean for you. And if you can, expand that a little bit further. What would redemption mean for others? For example, could you alter your morning prayers if you're praying? If you're not praying, then it's a good idea to learn how to pray. Especially if you're Jewish, we have a specific siddur. Have you ever spent time going through the siddur and learning how to pray as a Jew? If you'd need a Shear on how to do so, my husband did an excellent Shear on how to say the Shema. So I'll link that perhaps at the end of this or in the show notes. I'll find a place to put it. And that's an introduction for you. There are many other ways that you can learn. And if that's where you're needing to start, it's a wonderful place to start your day with some daily tefillah, some daily prayer. And so what I was going to suggest is, when you're thinking about praying for others, how about instead of just praying that a person has, for example, a refuah, a healing, pray for the very best you can possibly think of for them. And start to expand your mind, because if we're working up towards the times of redemption and we have a God who's infinite, how can we expand our minds to think of the very best blessing possible for our fellow? And in the same way, I have another video of my husband's that I could share, and that is something special that happens if you pray for somebody else who needs the same as you do. So with that, I'm not going to give away what happens, because I'll leave it for you to watch that video, and I invite you to join me as I do a little bit of reading and share some reviews, some summaries, my own take on these books that I've been suggested. And I hope in the process I'm going to learn how to sell my art that's sellable, how to fix up the art that's potentially sellable, how to improve my art skills to get the art that could be sellable to become sellable and have more art to sell, and with that to earn enough to make some difference. And maybe these videos can too. So join me on the journey and let's learn together what we can do to make this world a better place. See you in the next one. Ciao for now.